All right, hello. We are talking to our homeowners. Homeowners, time to talk about homeowners insurance. So, for most Americans, their biggest asset is going to be their home. Their home is going to be their biggest investment. And we know that home ownership is how most people start to create generational wealth. So, if your home is your biggest asset, when we're talking about investing in ourselves, in our financial future, are you doing a yearly check-in on your biggest asset? So it's the beginning of the new year, and if you own a home, you should have homeowners insurance. We'll get into that later. But if you own a home, particularly with everything that's happening with the wildfires and stuff like that, a perfect time to remind you guys at the beginning of every year, you need to be going over your homeowner's insurance. So I have a quick thing about 5 things you need to be checking on, and then I will go into a spiel of what's homeowners insurance, why you need it, all that other good stuff. So it's winter time for most of us, and we have snow, we have sleet, we have ice, we have places that aren't supposed to be getting snow, sleet, and ice getting those things. So first things first, homeowners insurance isn't required. However, if you have a mortgage, 9 times out of 10, your lender requires that you have homeowners insurance. Again, like I said, if for most Americans, your home is your biggest asset. So why wouldn't you protect it? Just put that out there. Because here's the other thing. If something happens, God forbid, a natural disaster, a house fire, someone gets injured on your property and you get sued. The whole point of homeowners insurance is to protect you and your home from being seized as part of that process. So as part of your annual checkup and inventory, the first things you need to do is you need to be familiar with your homeowner's insurance policy and your coverage. And your homeowner's insurance policy will vary depending on the type of house you have. It's going to be different from townhome versus a mobile home versus a single family residence versus new construction versus a vintage or older home. So, and I'll get back to that. But the first thing I want to hit on is review your current insurance. So there are 4 parts to homeowners insurance: dwelling coverage, personal property coverage, personal liability coverage, and then what we call loss of use or additional living expenses. So dwelling coverage is the coverage that if you need to replace or rebuild your home due to damage, what happens, it's under dwelling coverage. So for example, the people who have unfortunately been impacted by wildfires, to rebuild their home, they need to look at the dwelling coverage under their homeowners insurance policy. For homeowners that have made renovations or improvements to your home, more than likely that has increased your home's value, in which case you need to make sure your dwelling coverage reflects the value of the new value of your home. So like I said, unfortunately for the wildfires, the cost to rebuild the house is going to be based on your dwelling coverage. And those costs can increase over the years, particularly like during the pandemic when we were all locked down and it was hard to get supplies. It stopped housing because it was hard. There was a shortage of, getting lumber supplies and all this other stuff. So that's going to increase the cost to rebuild your home and also might increase the labor costs. So you always want to be looking at, like I say, if you've done any home repairs, any home improvements, any renovations, you probably want to reach out to your policyholder and find out if you have enough coverage under your dwelling coverage. So if anything happens to the actual structure of your home, you have enough money to have that rebuilt. Okay. The other thing is every homeowner should have an inventory. Like you should have this somewhere on a thumb drive, on a Google spreadsheet. Have an inventory of everything that's like most of the stuff that's in your house. So God forbid if something happens, hurricane, fire, whatever, tornado, when you're saying, hey, insurance company, you need to pay me, it's much easier if you already had that stuff cataloged. Okay, come up with an inventory checklist. I'm going to be very old school. Back in the day, when we had our CDs and our cassettes and our DVDs, you had a list. Okay, these my jam. Mine was alpha order by artist. Have inventory. This is, major items that were in the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, each bedroom, the basement, what was in the garage, what was in the shed. Have that outline. Family photos, heirlooms. Have a little inventory checklist that you have and that you regularly update and present. All right, moving on to the next thing. Review your add-on rider coverage. And this is where we'll go into the other two parts of your insurance, where it comes to personal property personal property coverage and personal liability coverage. So in order to make a claim against your insurance, you have to have an event, which is known in insurance lingo as a peril. You have to have an event, a peril that happens that causes damage to your home, your belongings. For example, a storm, theft, fire, those type of things. However, most of the time, if you've gotten the basic homeowners plan, there are limits to that coverage. For example, if you have jewelry, your engagement ring or a vintage or expensive watch or something like that, most of the time your basic plan only covers up to like $1,000, maybe $2,000 worth of jewelry. If your jewelry or you have musical instruments, a violin or piano, if it's high-end electronics, high-end jewelry, anything that's going to collectively be more than $1,000 and $2,000, you need to have an additional add-on coverage for that, because most homeowners and policies have a limit to what they cover for jewelry, high-end electronics, musical instruments, furs, firearms, cash. Did you keep cash in the house? So you're going to need to have additional add-on coverage called a rider or a floater, or you can get for jewelry, you can get separate jewelry insurance if you want. But that's something you need to talk to your insurance provider. Did you get engaged? That engagement ring is probably not going to be covered under your regular homeowners policy. And another thing about add-ons. So, natural disasters. Most of the time, your homeowners insurance is going to cover for, a fire or something like that. A fire, a storm, hail. However, if you live in if you live in areas where tornadoes are regular, hurricanes are regular, where earthquakes are normal, that typically is not covered under your basic plan. You have to have add-on coverage. You need earthquake insurance. You need flood insurance. Flood insurance is not covered under your homeowner's insurance plan. You have to have separate flood insurance coverage. So you want to, and here's the thing, with the climate change, we're seeing natural disasters happen in places where they normally don't. So if you've been in an area where, it's never happened before, but all of a sudden the natural disasters are getting closer and closer to your area, and you have, let's say your home is your biggest asset, protect it. You might want to be considering some add-on coverage for the things that, first of all, you should know what your basic policy covers. And if you have things like musical instruments, you have your grandmother's jewelry or heirloom, you have artwork. If you have artwork, typically you're going to need special coverage for your artwork too. So those are things where you're going to need add-on coverage. All right, let me move down. I'm going through a list. The other thing is, make sure your home is weatherproof. If you're in cold weather states, you are required to do regular maintenance and repair. Typically, your homeowner's insurance will not cover you if you failed or neglected to maintain your home. So it's, if you didn't do certain things like clean your gutters and all this other stuff, and damage happened as a result of your negligence, your insurance provider can deny your claim. So you want to make sure that you're doing regular maintenance, Here's the other thing. Personal liability. So personal liability coverage is this. If someone is injured on your property, you have a pool and someone's injured on a pool. It's wintertime. It's snowing. The mailman slipped and fell on your walkway while delivering mail. Those people can sue you. They can, try to, you have your home. You don't want to have your home taken. Your homeowner's personal liability and coverage will handle that. So you want to make sure that with this winter weather that you're doing things like clearing and removing snow and ice from the sidewalk and driveways. When it comes to personal property, okay, typically most homeowners insurance policies cover up to $100,000 in your personal property. Again, like I said, there are limits when it comes to jewelry and all this other stuff. So you want to make sure that, like, if you have personal property that is in excess of $100,000, maybe you need to increase your limits. So you want to be talking to your provider about whether or not you have enough coverage for these things. The other thing to know is that when it comes to personal property coverage, your personal property can also be covered in situations like, say, for instance, you have your laptop. You take your laptop to a coffee shop and, somehow it's stolen or lost. Homeowners insurance will cover your personal property. Here again, this is where it's like, have a list, have an inventory of your personal property. It helps. The other thing I want to talk to is particularly for people who are in natural disaster areas. And even if you're not, this is important that, you don't know when a fire or a tornado is going to come down. Have an emergency go bag prepared. People in the military understand what a go bag is. It's, you got the call, you shipping out in 3 hours, get ready to go. You don't, like, that bag is already packed and ready. So your emergency go bag should be like, a hiking backpack or something. And it should have, mine has a thumb drive with all of my important documents scanned. I also have photos, my passport is scanned, my driver's license is scanned. So certain medical records are scanned. It should have like a mini first aid kit. It should have medicine in it. Go to my website. There's an exhaustive list that I have of what should be in your emergency go bag. So whether or not you live in a disaster prone area, you should have a go bag so that if something like warning sirens go off, everybody talks about Fear of the Walking Dead. What's in your backpack? What's your go bag in case of an emergency? You're in a condo building, alarms go off. You got 2 minutes to get out the house. Your go bag, you should know that if I have my go bag, I at least have the basics. Let me see what else I have down here. I want to make sure I covered everything for you guys. Claims. Some, for your insurance provider, a lot of them will say if you do not timely notify them about a claim, they can deny you. So, like I said, you want to stay mindful of that. There's also a separate article that I have on the website about filing your homeowner's insurance claim. I want to also, and now for some reason I cannot read my own writing. So you want to make sure you do your annual checklist. Like each year as the homeowner, you need to be going over with your insurance policy holder carrier this. The fourth thing, I knew it was coming to me, natural disasters. The fourth part of homeowners insurance deals with dwelling coverage. That is the physical structure, any other structures like your garage and shed. It has personal property coverage for your belongings. The third thing it has is personal liability coverage. So if your pet bites somebody in your house, the mailman slips and falls, that's what the personal liability coverage is. And the fourth thing is what's called loss of use or additional living expenses. So if your house burns down, if a natural disaster happens and your house is not livable, that you will, your homeowner's insurance will give you temporary housing. Here's the catch with that. You do not determine that your house is no longer inhabitable. You need to call your homeowner's insurance because each carrier will have a different definition of what is inhabitable. And you need to make sure you meet that requirement before you assume that your homeowners insurance is just going to pay for you to be in an Airbnb or a hotel. And they might actually have preferred places where they say they want a hotel over an Airbnb or whatever. So when it comes to loss of use or additional living expenses, reach out to your carrier first. And the other thing is, when there is fire, theft, or when there's damage to your home, take pictures, do a video so that you have evidence, because guess what? The insurance company is going to want it. So in case of theft, definitely call the police. If you're in a natural disaster area, be careful of scammers. Be careful of people going door to door. Be careful of the people who call you saying, "Hey, we're going to fix your home for free or for a very low cost if you switch your homeowner's insurance." If you weren't covered by that insurance carrier when the disaster happened, then the new carrier isn't covering what happened not under them. It's like different. That was a different boyfriend. They don't cover. That was under him. So don't, be careful of scammers too. So that's my quick thing about homeowners insurance. One, you should be checking in on your coverage at least once a year. Okay? At least once a year. I'd say do it at least twice a year. Like I said, particularly if you had a major life change. You've renovated, you've remodeled, you made an addition to the house. If there have been any improvements to the house, you need to probably look at your coverage to see if you have enough to cover your new stuff. If you got it, I didn't get engaged. I'm just pointing. You have jewelry in excess of $2,000. You probably need extra coverage to cover your jewelry. You have expensive musical instruments. You have some high-end equipment. You have, your videographer, your filmer, and you have that equipment home. Your DJ, you're a DJ, and you have that equipment home. You probably need extra coverage for that stuff. So that's when it comes to, I mentioned if your pet bites someone, here's a thing to know. Some insurance carriers do not cover certain breeds. So if you have certain breeds of dogs or exotic pets and your pet attacks somebody, you may not be covered. You can get additional coverage, but your regular homeowner's policy probably won't cover certain dog breeds, exotic plants. Like I said, head over to Rondaisms.com, go under the category homeowners insurance, or you can just put in under the search thing like pet insurance or something like that. So hopefully this helps you guys and gets you on the right thing. Like I said, the whole point is to give you tools and resources so you can educate yourself and you can have your own checklist ready when you go and call your insurance company or whoever your homeowner's insurance agent is. Call them up, find out what's going on, make sure the last thing you want to find out is that you don't have the coverage you thought you had. Your home is, for most Americans, it's your biggest asset. Protect it. All right. Bye.